Whose face is that? Whose nose is that? I was trying to tell you. It was like you would not listen to me.
No, like the cord is not that long, and we are getting careful because
Here. That's all. That's it. Now you're behind the camera. There's nothing you need to do.
you guys, I don't like what you are doing. Just stop it.
So thank you very much. Good job, guys.
Maybe because they felt they've sent data to my phone.
Yes, no.
Even though they sent it.
None of your phone can carry this thing. It's only my phone I can carry. And then they send before they send this guy data now. I cannot send the data.
Maybe you have been requesting that should be not saying.
I've been requesting for this.
You can start this 5:30.
Look at my data is I have to do 3.5 again.
The one they sent has almost finished for that first session.
Yeah, I've been using my data since the beginning of this thing.
No. That's exactly what I was going to tell him. I had nothing. I understand that you sent it down, that you're going to start making thousands. Oh, because she said that I've been telling you, that was why I left him.
I told them this guy I sent data to. It's not me. His phone cannot do this.
Can you speak now?
Yeah, you can speak now. No, okay. Let's start. Sir, you're the chair, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good day, everyone. Can you hear us? We just want them to confirm.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Sir, you can go ahead now.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are welcome to the part 4, which is the final panel of the panel titled Science and Humanities in Africa, Disciplinary Perspective. And this afternoon, we have with us 5 panelists who will be presenting their various work. The first person is Mrs. Fumi Adegoke, Professor of Environment, Sunlight Absorption of Group Performance of Kerocarpus Osun. The next person is Bridging the Knowledge Systems, Integrating African Union's Knowledge and Western Science for Climate Adaptation and Resilience by Kehinde Oladeji from Ajayi Crowd. I don't know whether the person is online yet. Okay, I can see Mr. Kehinde Oladeji online. The third is Age Grade System as Agent of Opinion Socialization and Sustainable Development in North Central. In North Central Nigeria by Anthony Oja. You know whether that means whether it's available. Then we have ethical scientific study of the colonial Igbo technology, exploring the application of thermal expansion in science of blacksmithing. Ms. Dr. Uche Kingsley Okeke. And finally, we have Mr. Tiwantiwa himself, Abdulwasi Omotosho, Zakaria, Ajanakuki, Zade, or Ogunodun, Facts of Fiction. In the order written in the book, and those available online, we give the room to Mr. Kehinde or Dr. Kehinde Oladeji for his presentation. You have the room, sir. Share your slide. Yes, share your slide first.
Okay. I'm coming. Okay. I'm sharing my slides now.
Okay. We can see it right now.
Okay. Can I go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to come here to share my knowledge. The topic of my presentation this evening is Bridging Knowledge Systems, Integrating African Indigenous Knowledge and Western Science for Climate Adaptation and Resilience. First to the introduction. As we know, it has been established in studies that climate change is one of the greatest threats to human survival, especially in the 21st century. And disproportionately, it's affecting vulnerable regions, especially sub-Saharan Africa. We can see that Africa is heavily dependent on rain-fed agriculture, like we all know, and it's characterized by low adaptive capacity and prevalent poverty. And according to the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Africa agricultural productivity is directly impacted by climate variability in Africa. Now, moving to the statement of the problem, without wasting much of the time, climate change is, like I said, is a problem in the 21st century. And from the topic, we have seen that for centuries, African indigenous knowledge has offered effective tools for climate prediction, sustainable farming, and environmental management. But it has been observed that Western science has often rejected or sometimes sidelined indigenous systems, and they have referred to it as unscientific. And this has led to exclusion of African indigenous knowledge in dominant climate science discourse and policy making. The consequences of this exclusion is that it weakens climate adaptation and mitigation framework. And this has resulted in low community participation or sometimes low intuitive, culturally grounded climate strategies. So what are we trying to drive at here is that we have realized that there is urgent need for a more inclusive and pluralistic approach to climate science. That is one that values and integrates the strengths of both African indigenous knowledge and Western methodologies. So there should be a shift beyond what we literally know as the binary approach of African indigenous knowledge and Western science towards a more integrated and collaborative approach that leverages the strengths of both knowledge. This study is based on two theoretical frameworks. The first one is epistemological pluralism, which encourages multiple knowledge systems to coexist. This knowledge system includes Western, the indigenous that we have, the experiential that we have in Africa, and even the spiritual, like we refer to it in the indigenous knowledge studies. And this recognizes African indigenous knowledge as legitimate and not as secondary. Because most of the time, in Western knowledge, African indigenous knowledge has been referred to as a subordinate knowledge to Western knowledge. It is not given the necessary credence. And the second theory we are using here is the colonial theory. And it exposes colonial bias in knowledge systems. And it addresses how colonial history has shaped our knowledge of what counts as valid knowledge. So this study responds to these theories, to this marginalization, by showing how African communities can reclaim its climate governance through cultural grounded context-specific strategies. Let's look at the epistemological foundations of Western scientific knowledge and that of the African indigenous knowledge. If you look at the Western scientific knowledge, it is based on positivism, which values measurable data, reductionism, which simplifies complex issues to find patterns, and universalism, which assumes that scientific truth applies everywhere, regardless of culture or context. On the other hand, when we look at the African indigenous knowledge, it is grounded in holism, contextualism, and oral tradition. That is viewing the world as an interconnected system where knowledge is rooted in local experience and passed down through oral tradition, rituals, and community practices. This has been enumerated into this table where we see the epistemological foundation of Western science and African indigenous knowledge. Now, we dipped into literature to look at some popular West African indigenous knowledge practices as regards climate adaptation and resilience in Africa. For example, the Fulani herders in Nigeria, they watch what is known as in Yoruba as lekeleke birds. These are the egret birds in English. And these birds, when they see that they follow their cattle, it signals to them that there is an impending dry season. Going to the Maasai in Kenya, there is a strategy also of looking at weather forecasts and environmental signal where they observe the tall termite mounds, which indicates drought in that part. And in East Africa, we see sausage trees. When they flower, it signals to them that the rainy season is impending. In Yoruba culture, here in Nigeria, the flowering of a locust bean aligns with Oro festival, and there is a ritual that is done in that line to look at the onset of rain. Other examples are the Ekuri of Cross River, where they use these are indigenous farming system using crop knowledge. They use crop rotation, they use mixed cropping. And in Yoruba culture too, there is a way that the farmers use a bitter yam that is known as the esuru, which enriches the poor soil because it replaces nitrogen. That is in form of the scientific knowledge too. When they have planted crops that take away nitrogen from the soil, they do crop rotation by planting bitter yam to replace nitrogen into the soil. We also have the spiritual ecology and conservation taboos, like the Osun Osogbo sacred grove, which is protected as deity homes, and it bans deforestation. The Igbo community too, there is the early Udala flowering seen as ancestral warning, and they perform rituals as this comes along. This is also put into a table that we can see here. Now, we did a thematic exploratory study at looking at the successful implementation of the combination of African indigenous knowledge with Western knowledge. And let's look at the first case study. That's the use of the neem biopest in Niger and in Togo. The indigenous farmers there, they were known to use the neem tree extract, whether they pound it or they extract the leaf and the juice. And these are used as natural insect repellent to preserve their seeds and crops. But later, scientists come along, and they validated this method by developing a 1% neem kernel spray that proved highly effective and is very safe and affordable for the farmers. And it was widely adopted by the farmers and as an alternative chemical pesticide for crops. Now, another case study is found in northern Nigeria, where we have the RBDOS, where farmers in the northern Nigeria have traditionally predicted drought by observing soil conditions, early tree flowering, and animal behavior. And with the incorporation of science, they converted this science into a Java-based system called RBDOS, like I said before, which digitized indigenous roles that the farmers are used to into clear drought alert or signals. And this improved forecast accuracy and was accessible even to farmers who do not have, who are not literate. And they can even access that on their lower end phones. Looking at another case study from the middle belt of Nigeria, especially from Plateau and Benue, farmers have long used stone boarding, yam legume crop rotation, and grass strips to manage soil erosion in that area. But when scientific knowledge was incorporated into this African indigenous knowledge, researchers applied GIS tools and soil testing to enhance this indigenous practice and guide land decision. And this hybrid approach led to about 30 to 50% increase in crop yield, and there was a notable reduction in soil erosion because the farmers were able to use GIS to pinpoint the exact point where there is erosion, so they can do their stone boarding at that point by locating it very easily. There is also the rain forecasting method used by Western Kenya farmers in that region. They look at signs like bird migration, tree flowering, and wind shift. And a study by Mugo 2022 showed that comparing these signs with Kenya Meteorological Department forecast improved farmers in their planning of agricultural practice. This blend of indigenous and scientific knowledge exposed farmers to lesser risk of planting while they do not know what the weather is going to bring. And this has led to smarter planting and harvesting decisions. There is also early warning practice in Malawi, where they look at the flowering of trees and nesting of birds. When science was brought in, that's the Western knowledge, there was a cross-validation with meteorological data in that area, and there were more reliable forecasts for the farmers. There is another case study from Chad. In Chad, nomadic pastoralists use traditional knowledge of grazing routes, water points, and seasonal patterns to guide their migration. Now, with the support of UNESCO and a scholar named as Indu Ibrahim, they developed a 3D participatory map, and they received SMS weather alerts.
You have 5 more minutes.
Okay, sir. And this improved planning. It reduced the land use conflict because while nomadic herders are moving along their routes, there is always conflict with farmers. That is what we know as farmer herder crisis. But this reduced it because the herders know the route to pass through with the alert that was put into the indigenous knowledge. And this gave the community a stronger role in climate decision making. All these were put into this table, and the region where it's being practiced. What are the implications of these practices to climate mitigation? Number one is that it brings cultural relevance in adaptation. Climate actions are more effective when they align with the values and observations and knowledge system of local communities. When climate actions are put together, that is indigenous knowledge in cooperation with Western knowledge, it brings relevance to that environment. by considering the values and the culture of those people who stay there. And it also brings about ethical resource management. So indigenous knowledge help to manage ecosystem in ways that respect both nature and community needs and avoiding ecological harm. It also brings about participatory mitigation, because when Western knowledge are brought and farmers are exposed to it, the technical jargons are not being understood by them. But when they are incorporated into indigenous knowledge, the farmers will feel among. And when communities co-lead and they participate in these strategies, the outcome are more sustainable and are locally supported. In conclusion, African indigenous knowledge is rich and it offers culturally rooted, community-driven climate solutions. And integrating it with Western science is very, very essential for effective, just, and resilient adaptation solutions. Thank you very much. Are you?
Thank you, sir. Can you stop sharing so that the next presenter can come up?
Okay.
Dr. Abdulwasiu Omotosho. You can share your screen, sir. Mr. Abdulwasiu, can you unmute your mic? Dr. Abdulwasiu, can you unmute your mic?
Okay. Thank you.
You can go ahead and share your screen, your slide.
I'm doing so right now.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Can you see my screen now?
It's coming up. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, the chairman, all members of the panel, and my fellow presenters. My name is Abdulwasiu Omotosho Zakaria from Crescent University, Abeokuta. I am also Wantiwa Hub, a social media platform, the culture and language of Yoruba. I'm here to make a presentation on Ajanaku Kì í Gbàgbé Ọ̀rọ̀ Ogún Ọdún, fact of elephants to erin, which we can refer to as elephant. To this can be found in a Yoruba proverb that says, Dídákẹ́ lerin dákẹ́, Àjànàkú ló lẹ́gàn. This shows that the elephant has only chosen to remain silent. To the elephant belongs the forest. There is another proverb that also indicates that Ajanaku is synonymous to erin. With this, the proverb we are talking in context today, Ajanaku Kì í Gbàgbé Ọ̀rọ̀ Ogún Ọdún, simply means elephant doesn't forget a matter of 20 years. This proverb presents a factual claim about the long-term memory of elephants, which could have arose from a diligent observation of our forebearers going through the behavioral patterns of elephants. However, this kind of proverb needed to be validated through modern scientific experimentation with evidence-based data. While conducting a literature search, I came across an English idiom that is a replica of this particular proverb, and the idiom goes thus: an elephant never forgets. These two versions have contrasting meanings. The memory length in the Yoruba version of this proverb is more specific, that is 20 years. while the English version gave an endless time frame to the memory length of elephant. This presentation will examine the empirical data that is behind this proverb. It will review studies that have been conducted on elephant brain structure and cognition, as well as spatial and social memory of elephants. Now let's look at the elephant's brain structure and cognition. The elephant possesses the largest brain of any land mammal, and the size of their brain is up to 6 kilograms. Soshani et al. 2006 established that the large temporal lobes and olfactory systems of elephants support a sophisticated learning and behavioral capability. Their hippocampus is also greatly enlarged and also support a detailed knowledge of spatial map, as reported by Polanski et al. 2015. The spatial memory of elephants. A study that is based on state-based models showed that elephants navigated directly to known water holes and feeding grounds, that is up to 50 kilometers from their place, which is indicating that they have a detailed cognitive maps of their range. In another drought study that is conducted in Tanzania, Polly et al. 2008 revealed that herds led by experienced older females found distant water, while a young-led herd remained in place and lost up to 63% of their calves, which is exceeding the normal rate of 2% loss of calf when there is a drought. So these herds has presumably remembered routes from previous drought that has happened decades earlier, which is directly affecting their survival. Now, the social memory of elephants. Elephants excel at social long-term memory. A study conducted by Brian et al. 2000 found that elephants can track up to 30 herdsmates simultaneously at a time. Experiments have also shown that African elephants recognize relatives even by smell. In a study that is conducted by Hona et al. 2023, a mother-daughter pairs that are separated for 2 and 12 years, each of them reliably identify their kin via the scents of their fecal matter. Elephants can also remember familiar human beings too. A study reported by Kanslin et al. 2025 tested 2 zoo elephants with scent of their keepers that they had not seen for up to 13 years. Both elephants show significantly greater interest in the familiar keeper's shirt by sniffing. Shannon et al. 2014 also demonstrated that elephants can identify the voices of humans who pose a threat. They found that elephants are more likely to take precautions when they hear the recorded voices of people who periodically kill elephants in Kenya. Social intelligence of elephants. Elephants demonstrate empathy. Sorry. Oh, sorry, I have a call interrupted my presentation.
All right, sir, no problem.
Are we together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Elephants demonstrate empathy and also control mind-like behaviors. That is an example of consoling injured elephants and mourning the dead ones. They also solve problems via insights. A study conducted by Fodder et al. 2011 showed that a 7-year-old Asian elephant spontaneously pushed a large block and stood on it to reach overhead food as you can see in the image by the side. The elephant was demonstrating a level of intelligence to reach a food that was kept far above it, and was able to use the trunk to extend after stepping on a large block to extend its reach. This kind of behavior is an indication of high social intelligence and flexibility in elephants. To conclude my presentation, elephants have exceptional memory, and they use this for ecological relevance. This is lending truth to the Yoruba proverb that says, "Àjànàkú kì í gbàgbé ọ̀rọ̀ ogún ọdún." However, the English idiom, "elephants never forget," could be exaggerated. This validation indicates that our forebearers have a way of incorporating factual and evidence-based claims in their proverbs to pass down scientific knowledge from generation to generation. Before I end, there is a reference to in a Yoruba movie titled House of God that was produced by Tunde Babalola, where a reference was made to this particular proverb. It's just a 30 seconds clip. I wouldn't know if my audience will be able to hear it.
You have muted the video. Or mute the video. Share it with sound.
You have to end. You have to stop sharing, then share again. You have to stop sharing. Then while sharing, you need to click on pick voice or add audio.
Okay.
Yes. So you click on add audio.
Where can I have the advanced, right?
Why don't you play the video on your laptop, not from your PowerPoint?
Okay.
On a separate file. Then you will now add audio.
No, you can still play it. No, you can play and you just.
I know.
If you want to share also, you will still have to pick the audio for the video.
Share from your PowerPoint, but you will now share audio. You click on that.
Okay, go to share now.
Okay.
Share audio. Did you see share audio?
Share audio.
I have tried to share my own screen, so I will play again.
Okay. I think the same thing.
We are not hearing the.
Okay. I think.
Yes.
I think I just want to make a reference to where we can easily have a reference to the particular proverb in a Yoruba movie to give us a familiar experience of how to use the proverb in context. Anyway, let me just end my presentation by appreciating my panelists and every member of my audience. Thank you very much.
Okay, please, we want to check online if another. Yes, there should be.
Is Dr. Okekr from University of Pretoria there? Maybe one of the attendees. Not Okekr. Yes. Maybe you move into a presenter. Okay, he's a panelist. Yeah, he's a guest. Yeah, he came in with the others. Dr. Okekr, you have the floor now. Share your slide and let's have your presentation.
Yes.
Dr. Okeke, kindly accept the upgrade or promotion to the panelists. And then you now share your slide and you start presenting to us. Okay, the person that would start is here. She has not finished her slide, I think. No, let her share so that we can follow.
Flash?
No, I have flash. I always use yes.
Yes.
It's very easy. Okay. Dr. Uchenna Kingsley Okeke, you have the floor now. I think he's trying to share his slide. Yes. He is a he. Okeke.
All right. Okay, I've located the problem. So you can hear me now. I believe you can see me too.
Yes, sir. We can't see you. We can see you.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening, everybody. My name is Uchenna Kingsley Okeke. I'm presenting my conference paper titled Ethnocentric Study of Pre-Colonial Traditional Igbo Technology, Exploring the Application of Thermal Expansion in the Science of Blacksmithing.
Dr. Okeke, please, the way you shared your PowerPoint is not full screen. Can you, so that we can have a good view of it, a smaller video of you?
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Like the other presenter.
All right, okay.
You can pin his own picture.
Yes,
so
that we have a good view.
Okay, I'm trying to set up. Show with the narration.
Mr. Tiwantiwa, which university are you in South Africa?
University of Fort Hare.
Okay, he is in Pretoria.
No, I'm in Johannesburg.
Okay, University of Johannesburg. I say we have two.
I'm in Johannesburg.
Yeah,
please, is it better now? Can I be seen?
You said?
Is my slide showing the better form now?
No. Make it full.
I think it should pin his own video. It should pin his own video.
You said you should unshare first.
Okay.
Unshare first. Unshare your screen. And because you didn't see anything. It's too small.
No,
it's not the one. Yeah, it's from many. Stop sharing first.
All right, sir. I'm trying to stop that.
Yeah.
The purpose is to see. You are then once you are a pragmatic person because remove your video.
You can remove your video or you unpin your video.
Unpin your video.
You will unpin your video. That's the solution.
Unpin your video, doctor.
All right, okay.
Because the slide you have repeated, if you can't see it, unpin it totally.
So once you
Double click on the slide.
Double click on the slide now.
once you unpin it, it will remain on it.
If you
I've done
see,
that. I've done that. I'm on slideshow. It's not showing anything.
because we are continue. It means we won't see the slide. Just continue. We will not see your slide. They are too tiny. Continue your presentation.
All right, okay.
The slide is not visible. You are not seeing it. Continue.
All right, my presentation is yes, sir. I'm with you. I'm going ahead. Yeah, my presentation is on the ethnocentric study of pre-colonial traditional Igbo technology, exploring the application of thermal expansion in the science of blacksmithing. And I began with a poser. The question I first want to address in this is, whose knowledge counts in science education? Whose knowledge counts in the classroom? Is it the knowledge of the subaltern, the context, the environmental context of those who are the consumers of this knowledge, or the imposed textbook knowledge that teacher brings to the class? And this serves as a springboard for my presentation this evening. According to Paulo Freire, there's no such thing as neutral education. Education must imbibe or must be drawn from the context of the receivers, in this case, the students. Anything outside of this presents the students with a challenge to be able to align what they learn in class with what they see in their contextual realities. So the biggest problem or the biggest challenge of education in our environment, especially in the African context, is what we describe as imposition of foreign ideologies, such that when the student leaves the class, it becomes foreign to their realities, their daily realities. And this has made it difficult for them to transmit classroom knowledge to innovative ideas that could elevate the environment. Now, let us reflect on our earlier experiences of science. What are those for us in science? The simple question we want to ask is, what are those experiences of science that we first encounter, especially from the cultural perspective? I personally can count on a lot of them, from fermentation of palm wine, which we come across almost every day, fermentation of cassava, which produces, in the process of turning cassava into fufu and thereabout. Those are scientific processes which students bring to the classroom. However, their presentation in the classroom makes this look alien to what they are used to on daily basis. So in this discussion, I am taking mine from the thermal expansion, the principle of thermal expansivity, which our forebears actually applied in their technology, more or less what we call in the form of indigenous technology, the blacksmithing. Blacksmith expansion, molecules expand when they gain kinetic energy, especially when they're exposed to heat. In our homes, we experience this virtually every day while cooking. When water boils, there's a form of expansion in this case, and the kinetic theory, according to kinetic theory, these molecules of water migrate from one corner to another, and sometimes we feel it in the cover or cork of some of these things, and they start blowing up and down and thereabouts when we cook. And so when molecules of substances gain energy, they tend to migrate, and this migration causes a form of expansion, breaking the van der Waals forces that hold them together, that bind them together. So for solids which are closely bonded, when they're exposed to heat at a particular temperature, the molecules migrate and they become softer. And this process is what our forebears employed in the technology of blacksmithing, which enabled them to carve out tools which serve various purposes: farm implements, tools for hunting, cutlasses, and thereabout, tools for war. So what these people do when they gather these materials and subject them to various degrees of temperature, these materials become softer for them to be able to shape into whatever form they want. Now, I am looking at this perspective from the Igbo traditional technology, from the Igbo culture. Not to say that blacksmithing is just was only practiced by the Igbos. Of course, we still practice it in Igbo land today. It wasn't only practiced by the Igbos. So I cannot say it is just indigenous to only the Igbo culture, but I can infer that prior to the colonial invasion into Africa, into our space, there was a little or no exchange of cultures. More or less, some of these technologies were practiced independently by various tribes. So the Igbo traditional technology of blacksmithing enabled them to form farm implements, which enhance the societal growth in terms of farming, that's agriculture, warfare, and thereabout. One of the famous archaeological findings, anthropological and archaeological findings, was discovered somewhere in Inri, present-day Anambra, a place described as the burial site of the 15th century Igbo Inri kingdom. The Inri kingdom is renowned to be the headquarters of the Igbo, or more or less the forebears of the people who describe as the Igbo nation today. So this excavation, the carbon dating of some of the materials discovered in this place was dated back to 15th century. And they were refined metals, which were described to have been used for rituals, burial rituals, and all that. And the excavation, according to the archaeological findings, they describe the site as the burial site for the Inri, Eze Inri, that is the king, the traditional king, the royal family. And so, taking this back, it shows that this technology had been in existence long before the coming of the colonialists. To a large extent, we could infer that these societies had attained a form of technological advancement in their own right. In that sense, the technology employed, by these people in producing some of these things can easily be aligned with what is obtainable in today's metallurgical engineering, where iron ores are refined and transformed into various ornaments, various equipment, various things that we use at home. And so this technology was passed down from generation to generation. If we're still in existence up to now, what do they do in this? What do they do? How can we infer the application of thermal expansion in this? First, they discover the materials they want to use for whatever purpose, depending on the objective, depending on the tool they want to produce. They source the materials, and the strength of the objective they want to carry out determines the strength of materials they want to use. So when these materials are sourced, they expose them to heat. Most times they use charcoal to heat these materials to a particular degree. In fact, the average for them, the easiest way to ascertain when these materials have been heated to its maximum temperature is when this material turns red. In this way, they will bring it out and strike it and try to shape it into the form they want it to be. And after striking it and shaping it, it passes through different processes, including cooling in not water this time around. The first stage of cooling is cooling in sand. or ash. They put it in sand or ash for it to cool slowly. After that stage, they try to, smoothen it, sharpen it, and align it, and try to shape the head, the handle, and all that, and then try to return it back to the heat again. But in this case, in a lower heat, to be able to form it, to make it a little bit, depending on what they want to produce. Sometimes they want to produce spare, which they use for different purposes. They take it back to the heat to make it a little bit less brittle, else it will be brittle and start breaking off. So this blacksmiths use what we call intuitive knowledge. By their intuition, they didn't employ what in today's form we call the scientific standards. Theirs was more or less intuition, is what they employed in achieving this. So as I mentioned, the steps, they go through the various steps. Initially, I thought probably it could be an interaction. I could ask my audience.
You have less than 5 minutes, sir.
Oh, all right, sir. All right, sir. So it goes through different stages to be able to arrive at the final product. So now, having had understood this application of what we see as Eurocentric scientific system in our pre-colonial cultural society, how do we then transmit this to what we want to achieve now? Because the focus of this presentation is what I term the decolonization of education, decolonization of our curriculum. How do we do that? In this case, we will begin by evaluating some of these Eurocentric ideologies that are central to almost everything we do in our classroom, and begin to interrogate it in line with our indigenous knowledge system. What are those knowledge systems that are kind of particular to us? The first presenter talked about the indigenous knowledge system and the African indigenous knowledge system, and we can find them scattered all around all the disciplines of learning. And so how do we kind of bring this and start questioning what we've seen in the textbooks, say interrogating what the pedagogical classroom implications. Now I'm going to pedagogical classroom implication by integrating some of this contextual and cultural knowledge, which we can define as a indigenous knowledge system, by integrating it into our classroom instruction on our activities. We first and foremost align with the constructivist theory of both Vygotsky and Piaget, which posits that students learn from doing. They learn by practicing things they can easily find in the environment, more or less utilizing their prior classroom experiences. Some of these prior classroom experiences can come as informal knowledge, but they cannot be seen as misconception. They could be just not full conceptualized stuff. So what are the teaching strategies that we can imbibe? I've looked at contextualized instructional strategy, which enables these students to see what we teach in classrooms with what they have outside. And now, if you look at this contextualized knowledge that we try to give them and combine it with the abstract knowledge they take away from the classroom, mind you, most of the students learn by cramming, cram, pour, reproduce what they have crammed, and that affects and continues to affect the technological innovation of our environment, because you cannot innovate what you do not have. Those cram knowledges and other, and they can't align it with what they see every day. It becomes a war for them, which Semali and Meta discussed in their work in 2012. Now, I will talk about, I'm taking this to critical thinking and reflective focus. In terms of pedagogical implication, in terms of the focus of our classroom instructions. How, according to G02 2020, it talked about border thinking. Border thinking is just finding an alignment between the hegemonious Western ideologies that is imposed on us and the marginalized African knowledge system, which we do not really pay attention to. So this playing between these, trying to integrate their everyday experiences with what we see in the classroom, as we talked about the thermal expansivity that we're looking at here, you can bring in some of these artisans that we see in class and use them as resource persons during classroom experiences. Okay, I mean, I asked a mini question here that what are the basic, can we imagine those basic principles or basic ideologies of physics, or maybe in your own field, that we see every day in a classroom? I mean, for me, I can talk about measurement and what is seen in Igbo culture. I mean, there is the normal calendar and the Igbo calendar. There are lots of things I can talk about. I mean, from the indigenous knowledge system of the Igbos, with that aligns with what we talk about in physics. Now, we are thinking about interdisciplinary synergy. How do we marry history, anthropology, and the material sciences that we present to the students in the classroom? How do we bring about?
Thank you, Doctor. You have spent the last 2 minutes.
All right, so I'm rounding up. So interdisciplinary synergy, bringing some of these experiences from outside of classroom and taking them through history and anthropological findings, anthropological definition, anthropological positions of some of these findings. Now, what are the ethnoscientific insights that we can take from this? Our forebears, our traditional knowledge system is not in any way subaltern to the Western knowledge system. Kind of, they can both coexist. We can marginalize, we can, kind of align both of them, we can integrate them. So the cultural and technological context of our people is not in any way subservient to what we have. Now, my recommendation is policy, inclusive textbooks. Those who are producing textbooks should do as much as possible to include some of these things as examples. And classroom co-teaching, bringing in local resources, artisans, and thereabout. And so the question is, what step could we take tomorrow to implement some of these things? Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uche Okeke Kingsley. We are very grateful. The next presenter in our panel, which is the last person, is Fumi Adegoke, effects of environment and sunlight absorption on the growth performance of Pterocarpus osum. Is that pronunciation correct?
Pterocarpus osum.
Osum.
Thank you very much. The chairperson, the panelists, my name is Adegoke Folashade Fumilayo. I'm here to present. If you permit me, because my topic drastically changed in the sense that the topic in the book happens to be the one that's supposed to present, but I got a mail that I'm going to be among the panelists at this particular time. So I was confused. How will it happen? So I now took permission from the chairperson that he should allow me to present last, that I want to quickly attend to that one first. Not knowing that is the same mail that I'm getting from that one that they are expecting me to present here. So that's why I have to change my topic. So my topic now is science and humanities in African forestry, because I am from Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, Ibadan. And next slide, please. First of all, forestry. When we talk of forestry, we all think, what we'll be thinking is forest. See, where there are plenty, you are going away from it, sir, where there are plenty trees and different fauna, floras, and the likes. So, and the nature of, the situation of our forest land in the past. That's what I've tried to introduce with the picture on the screen. Now, the first picture it shows the former situation of the of our forest. That is, be it Nigeria forest, African forest. So before, our forest is densely populated with trees. And then we have been, the population is not as large as what we have now. Now that the population has increased, people are beginning to interact with the forest in terms of urbanization, cutting down trees for firewood, cutting down trees for furniture and the likes. So now the second picture now present the situation of our forest now, which is whereby all the trees in the forest, almost all of them have gone. Almost all of them have gone. Some have even gone into extinction. And this shows the interaction between between forest, African forest, and science, that is humanities and forest. So how do we now integrate humanity and science? Integration of science and humanities. Now, first of all, I would like to define what science is. Science, next slide. Science is the forestry. Science in forestry is the systemic study of natural environment with the mind of managing and conserving forest ecosystem with the use of silviculture, because silviculture is an act of science according to CARE 1981. So, and silviculture itself is the science of managing trees in a sustainable way. That is the interaction of human being with the forest. We have to, science has to come in between it so that there won't be issue between the usage of forest, and at the same time will not prevent human beings from making use of what they want to do with the forest. So another one is forest ecology, which is the study of forest ecosystem. Also, we have soil science as well, which is the study of forest soil composition, that is, the soil from which that tree has been grown, what are the composition of that soil? Because we discovered that now that the forest has almost all the trees have gone from this forest, we begin to have the issue of deforestation. And deforestation can lead to so many things. It has led to a lot, it has really exposed our environment to danger, which calls for alarm. It has exposed the land to wind erosion. It has exposed it to runoff water, that is leading to water erosion. Water erosion we are having, especially in the eastern part of this country. In the eastern part of this country, we have and some part of Kogi State, we have serious problem of gully erosion around those areas as a result of deforestation because of the activities of human beings on the forest. So that is why there is need for science to come in between relationship between humanities and African forests. Then humanity itself has to do with the relationship between people and the forest. The relationship between people and the forest. For instance, in the olden days, our forefathers, they used to seclude some area of forest. They'll call it a sacred place, sacred forest, whereby it is a taboo for anyone to go into such forest to go and cut down tree or to go and take anything from there. So, that's one. What they have tried to do is a kind of science in order to conserve such place, in order to conserve the kind of trees that are in those areas. And also, we have a planting of tree. Another kind of science is planting a tree. When you cut down one, by the time a tree is being is harvested, you have to plant two to replace it. Is also a law is a kind of law in forestry. Then now, next slide, please. Incorporating science with humanities in relation to African forests. How do we incorporate science with humanities in relation to African forests so that there won't be chaos, there won't be problem, you know, the original owners of the land, so that they will continue to have access to their land, they will continue to have access to the things on their land. And at the same time, the land will not be affected, the forest will not be affected. So how do we do that? How do we bring science in? Now, in sustaining African forests, both science and humanity must work together to achieve the purpose. How? By introducing trees to farmland. This is an example, introduction of trees to farmland. To serve as source of nutrients, because there are some trees that have nitrogen fixing activities. So such plants like Gliricidia sepium, this Gliricidia sepium is what we normally call Igiagumaniye. Igiagumaniye can fix nitrogen to the soil. So by the time you have things, trees like this, apart from that, we have Abyssa, we have Lycocephala, and so on and so forth. So all these trees, by the time we incorporate them into the farmland, it will begin to nourish the soil, and also the crops that the farmers are growing will be getting nutrients, will be having nutrients as well. So because we discovered that the activities of farmers on the ground can drain nutrients and can expose, at the end of the day, it will expose the land, it will expose the ground to erosion. So in order to safeguard the land, we encourage the farmers to begin to plant trees in between their crops. That is what we call the work of agroforestry. And also in agroforestry, we bring in animals, we plant animals, we rear the same place where there is farmland, we try to plant trees. Maybe it can be fruit trees like soursop. Like in my office, the agroforestry section there, we have soursop that we are planting there. So soursop, this is we know the importance of soursop, which serves as it is being used to cure cancer. So people that have prostate cancer, it has been used to cure it. So as farmers are getting soursop to cure some diseases, they are also getting their farm produce as well, and at the same time, their soil is being enriched. And also, we have to educate people to know the importance of planting trees in order to safeguard the environment, planting trees around the house. That's why the white people, they really value trees. Wherever you see their houses, wherever you go to their area, you will see trees around their houses because they know the importance. What is the importance of planting trees around the house? It prevents the building, and it prevents the roof from being removed during intense wind. When there is intense wind blow, and at the same time, it also helps the ground. It helps to grip the soil together when there is heavy rain, to prevent the ground from being from erosion. And also, we have to educate people from just grabbing land from landowner with the help of science as well. Then, in conclusion, in African forestry, Science provides knowledge and tools through research data collection, and technological innovation to understand, conserve, and utilize forests sustainably. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we would love to take questions based on the presentations we have had. We have had Dr. Kingsley Okonkwo. Dr. Kingsley Uche, sorry. We have had Kehinde Oladeji. We have had Abdulwasi Omotosho Sakari. Yeah. So, questions. I have comments concerning Dr. Kingsley's presentation. And the high point for me was the fact that they cool the metal first in ashes or sand when they are heated. They don't cool it with water. And I quickly wrote it down that they also know the concept of specific heat capacity. They know that the specific heat capacity value of water is very, very high. And as a result of that, it will take the heat very fast away from the heated ion. But they know that sand or ashes has a lower specific heat capacity. So it will not take the heat away very fast. And they will be able to heat it so that it will still be malleable before the temperature. That was a very high opening. Why did I say this? Is that I expect that the sub-concepts are highlighted within the presentation. The sub-concept beyond linear expansivity or expansion. That's one of the, and several sub-concepts were actually also made reference to. What I mean is that topic and all the processes explained is having several sub-concepts: luster, malleability, tensile strength. As you were making your presentation, I was just speaking concept upon concepts that are inherent in the blacksmithing process that the learners are accustomed to. And Mr. Abdulwasi Omotosho, I wrote the following down in the slide. When you were translating Ajanakulo Legan, the translation is that Ajanaku belongs to. And I said no. If it's low legan, that should be owns. That's ownership. If I want to translate correctly, howbeit, I would differ a bit on the comparison of the proverb of the northern epistemological notes that the elephant never forgets, and our own of 20 years. If I did not misunderstand the presentation seems to elevate, if that's the word. The presentation seems to elevate our own proverb above theirs. but I want to say that they are actually parallels, because when the Yoruba says Ogun Odun, for example, they will say Iyan Ogun Odun sì ń jó yàn lọ́wọ́. Iyan Ogun Odun a máa jó ni lọ́wọ́. Eré tí ẹṣin fi ogún ọdún sá, fàájì ni. Eré tí a fogún, kí ni ó máa ń fogún ọdún sá yẹn náà mi mọ̀. Eré tí ajá bá fogún ọdún sá.
Ajá fogún ọdún sá.
Irin fàájì ni fẹ́ ṣe. So when the Yoruba are making reference to ogún ọdún in their thinking, they are referring to something that is a long time. So like in the round table, during the round table today, we raised points on it is important not to advocate superiority in some instances, because they aren't really inherent like that. Rather, we should advocate we shouldn't use our emotions to advance superiority in thoughts, given the data around us. I think it is better we interrogate the data as it is. Literally, the Neva and the Ogun Odun are speaking to the same parallel, and the empirical data given to us concerning, because the Yoruba never even did any experiment concerning doing something to an elephant and waiting for 20 years and seeing whether the elephant will remember. That was not how they experimented. They must have done one thing at a particular point, and they were shocked that, so and they know that no matter the duration, we will always remember. The environmental and sunlight absorption, that's a explanation on nitrogen fixing ability of Agumaniye. Is it Agumaniye? I would love to more explanation, because I know that it does not have the ability to nodulate. Does it nodulate like legumes?
Yes,
So,
yes.
I'm coming. You will respond to them. So I want the people that I have spoken to, any question on the bridging the knowledge system, integrating African knowledge and Western science to climate adaptation. Listening to that part of the presentation, the entire presentation seems clear. In fact, I wish Mr. Kennedy was in our presentation, the roundtable in the morning. There was clarity. You spoke everything we said during the roundtable, and that was wonderful. So let's listen to the yes. I know this is 49, even less than that. So let's quickly have 2 minutes response from. There is no question for Dr. Kingsley, but if you want to make a remark, it's okay. And Tiwantiwa too, a remark, and me.
Am I going first?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for your comment. And I actually have to appreciate your observation. But the thing is, the essence of this presentation, like I said earlier, it wasn't even about the idiom, the English idiom. It was when I began the literature search that I came across something of that is, and the limited research that is available, let me say the limited data that is available, is actually giving the time frame of the number of years that has been reported, so which has been in decades, and we are still expecting some effort to give data on a lifelong memory about elephants. So, and I also want to just commend, just to give this one as a remark. I have to commend your effort, because to put all this together it has taken a lot of commitment from you, from your own end. So I would like to appreciate all other presenters too. We still have a lot to do. We have a lot to do. And I am happy we are becoming conscious of all this thing around our heritage. So hopefully we are going to get better with time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Kingsley, any remark?
Definitely, sir. Yeah, thank you so much for picking out, highlighting those points. I couldn't run through them while I was presenting. I mean, a whole lot, because in my paper, the paper that where I extracted this from, that I'm doing, I equally looked at the kind of a skill displayed by those blacksmiths, which is comparable to what is applicable to in metallurgical engineering now. Some of the things you highlighted, understanding the strength of materials and knowing how to subject them to a particular temperature, understanding
without a thermometer.
Yes, even without a thermometer. I mean, when I was going through a lot of things I'm putting through, I was teaching some students the other time about the concept of time and how our people measure time, about the concept of, and they never failed. And they were more or less like, they are more like students of nature. They were more students of nature than what we have these days. Almost everything they did was more like trying to understand the environment which they found themselves. The land, the sea, the air, they use all those things as landmark for almost everything they did. So this had been an interesting section. I mean, I listened to Mr. Abdulwasi and Dr. Abdulwasi and Dr. K in there. I mean, and then I've forgotten the doctor beside you, and in fact, as she was talking, I came. I mean, she just reestablished some of the things World Health Organization have been talking about with regards to forest and tree management, which somehow, even with a level of exposure in our environment, we have not taken akin to that. I mean, I walk into Nigerian environment, I see them felling trees almost every now and then for various reasons. So, but that's by the way.
The case in point is our own University of Ibadan. Let her quickly respond, because they are telling us that our time about the ability of Agumani to modulate.
All right, okay. Thank you for the organizers of this program or this event, and the clarity has come to stay, and I think it will enable us to improve. Yeah.
Thank you. Does Dr. Kennedy have something to say?
I'm Mr. Kennedy, by the way. Very soon.
Okay, but let her quickly respond to that question.
Okay, no problem.
Then you will come up with your,
Thank you very much. The chairman and my co-presenters, everybody. I appreciate you, sir, Dr. Nwachukwu, them, and I appreciate you, sir, Dr. Nathaniel, for now. I just want us, like the question you have asked, Agumani happens to be a leguminous plant.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. The one where is because we've not been allowing this. We are not so familiar with the forest.
Okay.
And we have not been allowing some of our trees to grow big before cutting it down. If you have ever seen Agumani where it is growing, you know that this is a tree. And you know that it's a tree and not just a shrub.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not just a sapling.
Yeah.
Now, by the time you get to the big one, you begin to see producing notes. And of recent, some institutes in the north, they requested that we should help them to plant to raise the seedling of this. How do we raise seedlings if there has not been note? You were able to get seeds from the plant. That's why we're able to get seeds to plant. And we have so many of them that are nitrogen fixing trees like that are in that same family. We have Pachyia bigibosa, which is our Ibaru, that is Igiru.
Yeah.
Then Abizia Lebec, we have Lucina Leucocephala, and so
thank you.
many others.
Thank you for educating us. Mr. Kennedy, your closing remarks so that we'll call it a day.
I would just like to appreciate you for this session because it's engaging and it's eye-opening. Listening to all presenters, they have been very, very good at what they say, and you can see the richness in how they have researched on what we are talking about here. African indigenous knowledge is very rich, and I can refer to it as living around us. We have not just looked into how to harness the opportunities that are in African indigenous knowledge. And my study will go on to look at what is what obtains, especially in the Southwest, Oyo State and Osun State, to investigate more about what are those African indigenous knowledge and how we can incorporate them into Western knowledge, because Western knowledge has perforated our
all right. I will
all
even
around
send
us
you.
everywhere.
I will send you a publication that I did on that, which we could, and we would also encourage everybody to develop their presentation so that the chapter will become a chapter in a book, which will be published internationally. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
We would love to have you back next year in this panel, Science and Humanities and Interdisciplinary Perspective in Africa. So that's a wrap for the year. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Well done, sir. Well done.